Okay, so about Jack Conway. Jack Conway is the current Attorney General of Kentucky. He's been Attorney General for about 8 years. He's ran for a congressional seat, ran for a Senate seat, lost those, but he's been the Attorney General, so he's been in there for quite some time. Here's a story. We'll start off with this. This is about Jack Conway, okay? Because Jack Conway has many conservative Republican viewpoints, and he's already running to the right. Right at the beginning of the election, he's running to the right. He says, I voted for Obama, but then I sued him. I voted for Obama, then I sued him. Obama's done a lot of good for Kentucky. Obama got Obamacare, which gives 500,000 Kentuckians some health insurance. Obama was there during the 2009 and 2012 tornado and ice storms. National emergency. He's the one that put money out there so that way Kentucky didn't turn out to be like Katrina. Barack Obama is also the one who also got public works projects, and I have my qualms with Obama, but it seems like to be a Democrat in Kentucky, you got to chuck your Democratic president under the bus, and I think that's ridiculous. That's what he's saying, that they're going to try to tie him with the National Democrats, and he's not like the National Democrats. He's not like the National Democrats because he's a Republican. He is conservative. So if he's going to run to the right, any liberal ideas that he may have, he may lose them in the election. What are we going to get when we get a Conway governor? We're going to get more of the same. More of rich people doing whatever they want, more war on drugs, more tax breaks for the wealthy, more... I'll get to that here in a second. I want to point out this this here. So, right off the get-go, he's covering up for his brother. His brother is a drug dealer. So, Jack Conway's brother is a drug dealer. Oh, well, that's pretty surprising. The ACLU in 2010 released a report showing how the war on drugs in Kentucky is racist. Black people are 6 times more likely to get arrested for marijuana possession than anybody else, and it's bad all around. It's bad for everybody. It's the war on drugs, it's lost. Every alternative has succeeded, and everywhere war on drugs has been implemented has been a disaster. It's been a disaster. You're going around criminalizing sick people who need help. That's a public health issue. It's not a criminal issue. Jack Conway was prosecuting gay people too for 7 years until he broke down and cried. And that was a good moment for him. Don't get me wrong, but for 7 years he upheld those laws. And you got to do by the rule of law. Well, if you got to do by the rule of law, then that means his brother should be in the jail cells along with all the other black marijuana possessors. That one guy in Louisville got ran over because of simple marijuana possession. Got ran over by a cop car. An undercover cop car just starts chasing him. He didn't know it was a cop car. And then he got ran over. He was on a bicycle. That's the world. That's the Kentucky that Jack Conway is creating. It's criminal. The war on drugs is criminal. It is criminal. If I'm drinking a beer at a bar and you come up and beat me up and lock me in a cage... You're the criminal. You assaulted someone, falsely imprisoned them. You're the criminal. I was bothering nobody. Having a beer at the end of the night, what's the big deal? We have a right to our own body. This is America. Someone asked him what does he feel about medical marijuana, and he got all, southern redneck, all hickified. And he says, I'm not for it. Nah, I'm not for it. You don't get Kentucky, Jack. You don't understand Kentucky. It's not, are you for marijuana, medical marijuana? The question is, are you in favor of prohibition? Do you remember the prohibition era, 1920s? They made alcohol illegal. All the gangsters started taking over. And then they legalized it to put the gangsters out of business. It's how Al Capone made his money. It's how Joe Kennedy made his money. And we're creating Al Capones today. Only they're not caring about the community, right? They're just drug lords. The war on drugs benefits your Jack Conways. It benefits the establishment. There's so much money with the criminal justice system. There's so much money to be made in the criminal justice system. The war on drugs only helps the drug dealers and the entire drug industry apparatus, all the authority apparatus. I mean, you got media, you got crime times, You got the judges who are being paid $1 million. You got all these lawyers, right? Public pretenders, and then the prosecutors. So then you have, just go down the line. You got all the police. You got the entire system. You got an entire system that is erected based upon this criminal war on drugs. It's criminal. We have a right to our own body. This is America. North Korea has legalized marijuana. North Korea. Jack Conway is to the right of North Korea. Jack Conway is more fascist, totalitarian than North Korea. I did this one meme where I put all the problems of Kentucky on Jack Conway, and there's like, well, he's only been there for 7 years. It's not all his fault. He's been in there for 7 years. What could he have done as governor that he couldn't have done as attorney general? Does him and Steve Brashear not have a good relationship? Can he not bend Steve Brashear's ear and say, hey, I would like to see this and that type of legislation to be passed? He has influence. He's got lots of influence. Brashear and him are like brothers. He could have got anything and everything that he wanted passed in the 7 years of power that he's been in. Now, Kentucky's known for voting people who's been in office for 30 years who hasn't accomplished diddly squat. So this is Jack Conway. His brother, you can read this article yourself, but his brother, Matthew C. Conway, who's a prosecutor. He's a prosecutor. These hypocrites. When does this hypocrisy stop? This hypocrisy doesn't stop. Will T. Scott, he's a candidate for Republican governor, and Will T. Scott has a son who was busted for drugs. You have Mike McConnell, the county attorney out of Louisville. His son overdosed. And died. That's not a good father. That's not a good man. They're hypocrites. These people are absolute hypocrites. They say for the regular Kentucky citizen, if you're caught with drugs, you will pay the price, and you will be held accountable for your behavior. Unless, of course, your name is Matthew C. Conway. If your name is Matthew C. Conway, well, you're allowed to prosecute and throw lots of people in jail, ruin their lives, but we're not going to ruin your life. Let's just hush this up. Let's just cover this up, and let's just move along here. Nah, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm tired of the hypocrites. I'm so sick and tired of the hypocrites. Hillary Clinton. Why did Hillary Clinton lose her election? Why did she lose the election? Hillary Clinton lost her election because against Barack Obama, because Allison, she couldn't admit that she voted for Obama, but she did say she was a Hillary Clinton Democrat. Well, a Hillary Clinton Democrat is a compromised Democrat. It's a love the banks, love the Iraq war, love the Republicans. Well, she talks bad about the Republicans, but she acts very similar to many of the Republicans. She's one of the most war hawkish people in the Senate. Foreign policy, one of the most hawkish. She wanted the troop surge in Afghanistan, U.S. intervention in Libya. A vocal proponent of the drone war that's killed 2,400 civilians. That's a big legacy of Barack Obama. You're living in Yemen and you see all these drones flying over. You have no idea when you're going to get attacked. You're being bombarded. Your airspace is being invaded. And we're killing civilians. 2,400 civilians? So let's assume they all knew at least one person. We just created 2,400 terrorists. 2,400 new terrorists were now created because you killed their family. So, you can read this article too. There's many issues that I'm not talking about Hillary, I'm talking about Jack Conway, but I'm making a comparison between Hillary Clinton and Jack Conway. Allison Grimes did not run on her progressive Democratic roots. She mentioned minimum wage, and that was basically it. She talked about being in favor of the Keystone Pipeline. Barack Obama would veto it. So she is in favor of the Republicans on that issue. She says she's not for amnesty. Yeah, because Mitch McConnell, that's what he's really known for, right? Amnesty. But she's saying, no, I will screw over the Mexicans, and I don't give a damn. She ran to the right of Mitch McConnell on immigration. Keystone Pipeline, immigration. She's a big gun proponent, which I don't know anybody who isn't a big gun proponent. There's some people out there, and they have good reasons. But I do believe that we should have a right to bear arms. That's the Second Amendment. At least we got the Second Amendment, right? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, the First Amendment, it's the whole Bill of Rights. Do we have the freedoms? Anyways, okay, Hillary Clinton is, she lost to Barack Obama because she played a conservative centrist. They always do this triangulation thing. That's what the Clintons are known for. They'll see who's the most right, who's the most left, and then they'll jump right in the middle. Oh, I'm Mr. Reasonable. I'm not going to go as far left as Al Gore. Well, Al Gore really isn't left. Now is he? Nader, Chomsky. Now that's the real left right there. The intellectual titan on the left. Noam Chomsky. How liberal is Hillary Clinton compared to Noam Chomsky? Not even close. Not even close. She's, for the economy, she has populist rhetoric, but she takes money from J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, her top political donors, and they also give to the Clinton Foundation. They are cozy. They are they are with the wealthy. How the wealthy, you think J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Citigroup are going to throw a bunch of money in Hillary Clinton's pocket and she's going to turn around and bite the hand that feeds her? It's legalized bribery. And in fact, it's a reason we could impeach these folks. We can impeach these folks. These people who get high crimes and misdemeanors and bribery. If you're a cop for bribery, you can impeach the President of the United States for that. So Clinton received $400 to speak. She gets all this money to speak at Goldman Sachs events, give them a reassuring message to the assembled bankers, right? The environment, there's issues with the environment. She's for hydrofracking, civil liberties, big on NSA spying and wiretaps, culture wars. She panders to hot-button social and culture war issues. She joined, she voted in favor of the Workplace Religious Freedom Act, which effectively legalized discrimination, and she introduced a bill that would make flag burning a felony. A felony! So you murder somebody, you rape somebody, you're a felon, and you go to jail forever. You exercise your First Amendment rights, you burn the flag, you take a piece of cloth and you light it on fire, and that means you're going to go to prison with a rapist and a murderer? You don't see a difference between that? I mean, this politics, this is just ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, be proud of your country, but we're a good country because we're able to, to speak out. We're able to have our freedoms. We're able to have freedom of speech. If you sit there and say that they hated us for our freedoms and now we can't even, it's not like I'm like, let's go out and burn the flag. But the fact that we're allowed to do it shows me what great country we live in. Freedom of speech is you protect speech which you don't want to hear. If you're against speech that you don't want to hear, you're not in favor of freedom of speech. So that just shows, you have a right to say what you want, and people will fight and die for our way of life. And one of that is the freedom of speech, the freedom to express ourselves however we want to. So Jack Conway, I got 13 pages of Jack Conway here. I went through and I looked through his issues. The personal attacks and the attacks on family, I think should be off bounds. I think it should be off limits. Politics is NFL. And it really is. Doesn't it all matter? Doesn't every bit of it matter? Every bit. So, this might get more dusty as it goes on. But Jack Conway, he went to Duke University, became a trial lawyer. Then he became a politician. And one can't be an attorney until they've been lawyering for at least 8 years. So he's a lawyer. He's a politician. He's a liar. Lawyer politicians are the only ones that can become circuit court judges. And he's a Duke University graduate. He graduated out of Duke University. A trial lawyer politician, Duke University graduate. So the findings that I found out about Jack Conway are as follows. Jack Conway has not come across the war he didn't love. He's pro-perpetual empire. He's anti-cap and emissions. He was pro-perpetual empire under Barack Obama and under Bush. They said, let's go to war. He says, hell with it. Let's just go with the president on this one. Has no, it doesn't think for himself. Can't think and decide for these issues himself. Let's just follow, right? Let's just go along and follow what everybody else is doing. So he was in favor of the Iraq War, in favor of the Iraq War for 8 years. For 8 years, he was in favor of the Iraq War. He was in favor of the Patriot Act. Now, where he's came back and said that he was wrong on the Iraq War, he was lied to, and then he also said the thing about gay marriage, he corrected himself, and he actually took the proper stance. He took the right stance. He says, yeah, war is hell, right? You mean you're going to just kill 1 million Iraqis because of the Saudi Arabians who flew a plane into New York? That's why you're doing it? You're going to kill 1 million Iraqis because 3,000 Americans had died by the hands of the Saudi Arabian terrorist. Saudi Arabia wasn't even in the equation. We were talking about Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, North Korea. Saudi Arabia? When did Saudi Arabia ever get into discussion? We haven't even talked about Saudi Arabia, who's beheading people like on the reg every day. Saudi Arabia, which is one of the reasons for 9/11, we have military bases in the Islamic holy cities, in Mecca, Medina, Palestine, and all the bombings. That's the reason 9/11 happened. Because we've been killing people, because we're an empire. So he's in favor of the empire. He's in favor of going to war with some country that the president just picks out of a hat, whether he's got reasons or not. And he was in favor of war under Republicans and Democrats. So that's not a peace and love type of liberal. That's not. He isn't, he definitely isn't Noam Chomsky. He isn't even close to being Noam Chomsky. So we got anti-capping emissions, pro-Iraq war, pro-Patriot Act, pro-mountaintop removal, pro-Bush tax cuts, pro-cuts to Social Security or raising the retirement age, anti-free speech, pro-death penalty. He even signed a death warrant for Ralph Bays, who says he murdered in self-defense. And Kentucky has spent $100 million on the death penalty system. $100 million. There was a statistic that I think that they should actually check out. How much does it cost to put someone on death row? In the legal cases, the appeals, the lawyers, the judges. How long do I once heard a statistic that it costs more money to put someone to death than to put them in prison for life. And if that's true, then we're just being a bunch of barbaric savages. It would be more, bigger of a punishment to throw Marco Chapman in jail and to make him stew and be around all the people. And then not only will he have to live with himself, he'll have to live with himself in the middle of a population that knows what he did. What he did was barbaric and troubling and disgusting. And there's probably no person on this planet that deserves to die more than Marco Chapman. Marco Chapman deserved to die. And I believe in an eye for an eye. My issues with the death penalty is that it's a state power. Has the state ever got something wrong? Well, the Iraq War, they killed 1 million Iraqis. I don't know. Maybe they should not be have decisions over the lives of other people. Were 1 million Iraqi people? Were they all guilty? Did they all deserve the death penalty? We gave them the death penalty. And, the prison plantation. We have a security state, a prison state, a police state. If we really care that Black Lives Matter, then we would knock it off. Start treating people the way you're supposed to treat people. Being in Kentucky, we're supposed to have all this Southern hospitality. We're supposed to be nice to each other. But I don't see that. I don't see democracy. I don't see people talking to each other and, discussing the issues of the day. 2008, we almost blew up the world with that financial crisis. And now we're just marching along, acting like nothing ever happened. We need to change our ways. And having a prison in Scandinavia countries, they have universities that are prisons. And the idea is that people can change. You can rehabilitate a person back into normality. But we don't believe that. We have some rehab programs, but we believe throwing you in a cage, locking you up, disrespecting you, getting molested. Louisville jailers molested me. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody cares. Who cares? This is, too many psychopaths, Oh, you got fucked over? Sucks to be you. How many times do we walk past the homeless people and get annoyed when they ask us for change? Ugh, how dare you ask me for change? Well, you have a house, and so he doesn't. He has a right, He should be pissed off. He should be pretty pissed off until he gets himself a house. And so that's, we need to be nicer. We need to be better. We need to treat people the way they should be treated. And we're not doing that. The pro cuts to Social Security is particularly alarming because pro cuts to Social Security, both Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell are trying to dissect Social Security as much as they can. Mitch McConnell, he wants to privatize it. Right now, they're cutting Social Security recipients are going to lose 20% in benefits. That's Mitch McConnell. Rand Paul is sitting there saying that everybody's just gaming the system. Oh, your back hurts. You got anxiety. Everybody has it. Get over yourself. Something like that. So he's saying that people are on Social Security that shouldn't be on Social Security. It's really hard to get Social Security. It takes like 2 or 3 years, and I've seen people die waiting to get Social Security benefits enacted. Sure, there's people that game the system. I'm not denying that. We need to cut waste in all the programs of any type of waste, any type of things. The guaranteed minimum income would be one of the best ways to go about that. Guaranteed minimum income. Everybody gets $10,000, and then we dry up all the social services. You got your $10,000. You get to survive. You get to go live. We don't have to have all the bureaucracy. We just have one agency, one group, giving people a life check. $10,000 isn't a lot of money. You barely survive on that. But it guarantees that there will not be homeless people. It guarantees that people won't slip down the drain or fall off and out of society and nobody knows where they went. So, because he is in favor of Social Security, cutting Social Security or raising the retirement age shows that he is in favor of, of the same things that Mitch and Rand Paul are in favor of. We need somebody that will be able to stand up to the Republicans, that will stop the Republican class warfare, that will strengthen our unions, that will strengthen working people's lives and family, their dignity, their honor, more wages, better benefits, better jobs. Yeah, we need businesses in here. All right, bring the corporations, bring them on. But we need to make sure that working class people are making a decent wage. So his pro-cut Social Security is alarming. It's not like he goes out bragging about it, but he did say, maybe we should cut Social Security. Maybe we should raise the retirement age. Maybe we should. Nah, Jack, we shouldn't. Don't touch Social Security. Social Security and Medicaid, which is 20% of Kentucky's budget, needs to be protected. It needs to be protected. Pro-perpetual empire, anti-cap and emissions. They don't care about the environment. Pro-Iraq war, pro-Patriot Act. They're tapping our phones, tapping our emails. The Patriot Act, you want to talk about taking away our freedoms, the terrorists did win because they cut our freedoms. They changed our way of life. We have to take our shoes off at the airport. So, anti-free speech, he sued Topics.com because of slander and all the, there's a lot of crap on Topics.com. If there's anybody that should hate Topics.com, it should be me. But freedom is incredible. It's a wild, wild west. And I think when we actually begin to employ freedom, we'll see probably more incidents, more engagement, more people getting frustrated and mad about stuff. But I think that the petty stuff will go down. There's the serious stuff. There's a madman on the loose who's got a gun shooting people. Go get that person. Good. Good, 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 good. But if someone got into an argument, someone, looked at a cop or talked to a cop in a way that they didn't like, come on now. That's ridiculous. That's not a crime, and it's petty, and it's stupid, and we're just, bogging down the system. That's a police state whenever something like that happens. And so that's ridiculous. And so, this is supposed to be a country that believes in free speech. And there are limits that I think with free speech. You shouldn't accuse anybody. You shouldn't threaten anybody. And you shouldn't give any orders out to anybody. Now, whether or not people listen to those restrictions, I've never heard anybody else say those are the restrictions. Only me. But the reason why, an accusation, my God, if I was to go and accuse somebody of, just some horrible crime, and then they have to deny it. That's an LBJ tactic. They have to go out and deny it. Well, now go deny it. Well, now I don't even know if he really did rape the chickens. I think you raped the chickens. Do you deny it or not? An accusation is not friendly words, and an accusation that is taken seriously can ruin somebody's life. Raping chickens, if someone listened to that and believed you that actually happened, my God, that person's life is ruined. So I think that in free speech, you're going to see a lot of crap. There's lots of crap on topics, but there's enough good stuff on topics that it's free speech. That's our country. That's what our country is made up of. So topics, the good things, you can have whistleblowers, people talking about the politicians, talking about corporations, how they're not treating people right, tell the truth to the world. It's an open forum that anybody can get on, engage in. There's so much racism and so much crap. I mean, don't get me wrong. But the open forum idea, this gives small towns an avenue of which to talk about the issues. Unfortunately, right, because the establishment has looked down upon, oh, that's just a gossip website. And for the most part, it really is. But, you know, your company putting out a bunch of emissions and polluting all over, that's gossip. That's gossip, but it's also information that we need to hear. There was one incident actually in Ghent, Kentucky that happened, and I thought this was a great example of why topics.com needs to be kept, and we need to have it around. But the incident was a brother saw his other brother get ran over and killed him. Somebody ran over this guy's brother from Ghent, killed his brother. He got on there and said that he killed him, he ran him over, and he didn't even stop, didn't even turn back around and say what's going on. Didn't even care. Got on topics, talked about his feelings, talked about how it's bullshit, talked about how, hey, has anybody seen this type of truck? And then within 2 or 3 days, they found the guy. They found the guy who ran over his brother and killed his brother. They found him. They found him. Because of topics.com. The thing with topics also, this Jack Conway sued topics, right? And, you know, it makes me think of Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden says, hey, it's a big surveillance state. I was making great money, but I don't think that this is what America's about, and we shouldn't be doing this. And seems like he's almost lost that debate. He's going to be staying in Russia for the rest of his life. Chelsea Manning is still in prison. Going to go to prison for 15 years? So lie about a war, kill 1 million Iraqis, not a crime. But say, hey, you just killed innocent people. You don't deserve to be doing that. You go to jail? This makes no sense. We're living in topsy-turvy land. It's bizarre world. So let's go on. What else does Jack Conway believe? Anti-democracy. Well, you know, what would he actually lose in debating? I think it's possible that Jeff Young could win. Long shot, but possible. Now, for anybody else that I'm talking to that's trying to, you know, well, he doesn't have a chance. Well, okay, fine. Let's assume he doesn't have a chance. Does that mean that his candidacy is not worthwhile? Jeff Young is progressive and he's liberal. So these issues, he would be, you know, he would be against all this. And being a progressive, being a liberal, he can actually get Jack Conway to take a stand on these right issues. You can see a clear perspective between, you know, what's progressive and what is not. About the democracy part, he has not been, you know, he's been pretending like he's not in the race, acting like he's won it, and just doing a victory tour. Hey, everybody, I won the Democratic primary. But he's not in favor of democracy. Democracy, Lincoln Douglas debates, going around having debates, talking about the issues. He wouldn't lose anything. You know, he wouldn't lose anything. If you believe that Jeff Young has no chance, then what's the problem with him debating? I think you got a problem with Jeff Young debating because you think he might get a chance. He might be fair. I don't know. I would, you know, there's always a chance, but they're playing politics. And again, this isn't democracy. In democracy, we want to see our candidates debate. We want to see them talk about the issues, talk about the problems of Kentucky, and offer solutions to those problems. That's what we want. So, anti-democracy. He's not in favor of the Democratic. He likes the process for the bigwigs. He likes bullshit in the public. But when it actually comes to practicing democracy, he just won't tolerate any other opinions. So he's pro the death penalty for Ralph Bass, who does not deserve to die. He's against civil liberties. He's been in favor of the Patriot Act. He's tapped, you know, I mean, the Attorney General, can't the Attorney General stop the federal government from tapping our phones? How do they get into Kentucky? How do the feds get into the state Don't Jack Conway, ain't he the sheriff? Isn't he like the top dog of this state? When we say, hey, we don't want this, it doesn't come in, right? I thought we were like a dual federal system, not a hierarchical. Anyways. He's anti-single payer health care. He's pro-abortion, but won't include the procedure and health insurance is offered. He's pro-gay marriage after 10 years of prosecuting gay marriage. Maybe not 10 years, maybe 8 years. 7. Okay, so after 7 years of prosecuting gay marriage, then he all of a sudden, oh, okay, I was wrong. So those 7 years, all those rulings that he made, they all need to be overturned. Pro-abortion, right? He says he's got a good quote. It should be rare but safe and legal. But he is against health insurance covering it. Well, what is that about? Is it rare, safe, and legal if the health insurance doesn't cover it? That's a way to make sure abortions don't happen. They don't have the money to do it. Well, sorry about your luck. Now you got to have your rapist daddy's baby. Anti-single payer health care. So he likes the exchange system with the private insurance. No public option. No single payer health care. Well, that's the wrong direction. As soon as Kentucky Care goes up, I'm going to put $5 down because it would be the best and cheapest insurance out there. If Kentucky offered health insurance, they would smash Humana. Kentucky should buy Humana. Kentucky should buy KFC. Buy these corporations. You know why? You already have, all the files and information that you need instead of these healthcare insurance companies profiting, because that's all they care about is making a ton of money. They don't care about whether or not you're sick and are getting the health care that you need. Just buy it. You're the government. Now take it over. Pay for it. Eminent domain. You're helping out the public. Single payer health care. That's the way to go. That's the best way to go. And it's we're the last industrialized nation to do it. Why don't we do it? Have a two-tiered single-payer health care. People want to pay outrageous rates for their private health insurance. Fine, do that. But there's also going to be state health insurance where everybody is covered. You get sick, you go to the hospital, you get taken care of. Every 10 seconds, there's a medical bankruptcy in America. A medical bankruptcy. A medical bankruptcy. Meaning you went to go get an operation, now you can't even afford your home. He's also been huge pro-racist Nixon and Reagan's war on drugs. $19 million was spent by Kentucky every year on marijuana possession only. $19 million that we're spending on this criminal war on drugs. Anti-marijuana, anti-medical marijuana. He's even anti-hemp. Jack Conway is even anti-hemp. Which means that he doesn't even believe we should be making rope and anything else because it might be misconstrued with marijuana. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's sick. That's disgusting. It just shows that he's a fascist. He's a totalitarian fascist. He likes having the power to throw people in prison for what I'm going to protect you from what you're doing to your body by ruining your life. Unless your name is Matthew C. Conway. If your name is Matthew C. Conway, well, you're okay. You don't need to go through the same process that we all go to. If you're a politician, you can have a DUI. If you're a circuit court judge, you can threaten to murder a man who's wearing an Obama t-shirt. So, 6 times more blacks are arrested in Kentucky for possession of marijuana than whites. Every arrest is ridiculous, but 6 times more blacks are arrested. And we have like 8% black population. 8.2% of the total population. But black folks represent 35.6% of the marijuana possession arrests. 35 that's over a third. They represent less than 1 out of 10. And then at least 3 to 4 people, black people, are going to be arrested. Out of all the people that's arrested, 35.6% of them are black. That's disproportionate. People say, well, why is that? That's because they do more crimes. That's possible. But I think the better and more likely one is that the racist war on drugs is inherently racist and criminal and bullshit. And cops like beating people up for no reason. They get off to it. It's exciting. Oh my God, it's a call. We better all run and get excited. Unless it's like a real crime, you know. If it's like a homeless guy, we all can beat him up and kill him. But if it's like a mad shooter, like in the Bank of America robbing in California, well, hell, let's hide behind the cars. We don't know what to do when the real criminals out here, out on the loose. So that's just a hypocritical society. Alcohol is wayward. I mean, I can go on and on about why we should legalize it, but I think that's the wrong perspective. Instead of justifying it, I think we should just mock people who, I mean, seriously, you think weed is that bad? You think weed is crack? Get the fuck out of here. Weed is not crack. You're stupid. Weed is not a narcotic. You're stupid if you think so. Weed's not a narcotic. And Prohibition didn't work with alcohol. Prohibition didn't work with marijuana. Prohibition didn't work with Oxycontin. Didn't work with heroin. Prohibition doesn't work. Prohibition's never worked. Prohibition has devastated communities all throughout the United States. And like I said, Kim Jong-un, North Korea. So if you're black in North Korea, you won't get arrested for marijuana possession. If you're black in Kentucky, you're almost guaranteed. You're almost guaranteed to be arrested. That's, it's a difference of 27.3% in Kenton County, Kentucky. They're arresting 10 black folks to 1 white for marijuana possession arrest. 10 black people for every one in Kenton County. Kenton County has like a 3% black population. There's no black people in Kenton County. It's so white, and yet 10 black folks are being arrested to every single individual white for simple marijuana possession, not trafficking, not dealing, not heroin or crack or any of the bad stuff, not crocodile or that Colombian devil's breath. None of those. No devil's breath, no crocodile, no meth, no crack, no heroin, no coke. And yet, 10 black folks to 1 white are going to go to jail if you live in Kenton County. Anti-immigration. That's when Allison Grimes, ran to the right of Mitch McConnell. I will never vote for amnesty. Oh, so you're like more conservative than Mitch McConnell? Mitch McConnell is the candidate of hope and change, and you're the candidate of keep things the same and make it harder on everybody. What are you doing? That's not inspiring. That's part of it. I think her campaign was part of it, but I think education in general is a part of it. I think our love of a culture of ignorance, the society's love of a culture of ignorance, is a problem. Lack of civics, lack of democratic understanding. Media. The media didn't inform Kentuckians everything. I mean, he's been in office for 30 years. You're telling me there's nothing that Mitch McConnell did for 30 years that we could have heard about, good or bad? I've read about Mitch McConnell, so I have an understanding of him. But from the media, I don't remember him saying, "Well, back in the '80s, I did this for you, Kentucky. In 1992, Kentucky, I done this for you." He didn't say any of that. He said nothing. He said nothing about his accomplishments. Matt Bevin is right. He doesn't have any accomplishments of which to run on. And how embarrassing. You've been in there for 30 years. You haven't accomplished anything? But the media didn't tell us about it, so who gives a crap? Nobody, there's a lot of average Americans that would say, well, if the things are the way you say it, how come the media doesn't cover it? Well, the media is a corporate media. Manufacturing of consent. They're corporations. They take advertising revenues. They get advertisements in the papers. That's how they pay for it. Advertisements. And the news isn't to inform you, but it's to sell the paper. So are they going to tell you about the new crossing guard or the new principal or some other small things that small towns would love to hear about themselves, like the media in Canada? Will they do that? Or will they rush to the car wreck where there's blood and gore everywhere, take a picture and splash that on the front headlines? They're more likely to talk about the bad, tragic. If it bleeds, it leads. If it's gory, it's a story. If it bleeds, it leads. If it's gory, then it's a story. That's what the media cares about. So since the media doesn't care about actually informing us, just getting the sensational bullshit, put it on the front pages, sell those newspapers, They're not telling us anything about Mitch McConnell's 30 years. What has he done? Ask any Kentuckian, what has Mitch McConnell done in 30 years? I bet you don't. Even Mitch McConnell voters couldn't say much. Well, he was a real dick to Obama. You know, that's really why I voted for him. Oh, because you're a racist. There's another big one. Racism. That's a big one. Racism. So, a bad campaign, media, society, and then that last one, what is it? Bad campaign, media, society, lack of civics and democratic understanding, and racism. Oh my God, racism! I met a guy here in Garfield, Kentucky. It's a city up the way. I was working at a timber mill, and the boss was just being a dickhead one day. Wanted to tell me, wanted to be a dick about stuff, and so I mentioned Obama, not just out of the blue. It was in the middle of the discussion, but he didn't understand it. He's kind of stupid. And as soon as he heard Obama's name, immediately he went into attack mode. Obama? You want me to tell you what I think about Obama? Not particularly, no. But sure, why not? Sure. What do you want to tell me about Obama? He's a nigger. Oh, okay. Barack Obama's a nigger. Okay, yeah, that I believe you. No, I don't believe you. I think you're a racist, bigoted piece of shit. I mean, he's the president of the United States. A nigger? A nigger. Some people, Chris Rock says that there's black people and there's niggers. There's black people and niggers. I've talked to many people. I've talked to one of my good friends actually kind of said, well, there's probably bad people in all groups of people. And that's absolutely true. Of course there is. So there's black people, niggers, then there's white people and niggers, right? There's white niggers. They're trash, right? They're the trash. They're the crap. And I don't like just, generalizing. Those are guesstimates. Those aren't specifics. But there's, I don't think you could generalize about an entire race of people being one way or another way. And then you really have to speak to the individual, on the individual level, But regardless, racism, oh my God. Barack Obama is the president. And still, you think he's a nigger. You think he's a bad black guy. He don't have any weird baby mamas, no tattoos, no earrings. Nothing's come out of the woodwork on him. Barack Obama is so clean cut. He's cleaner cut than most whites. But he is a nigger. Oh, get out of here. That's racist and that's stupid and that's bullshit. And I bet you there's a high percentage of people like that in Kentucky. Just racist for racist's sake. Just to be a racist. Well, hell, he says nigger. I bet he seems to be free and says whatever he wants to say. It's not a sign of courage. It's not you're not being cool. It's not interesting. You're a dick. You're being a dick. You're being a racist piece of shit. And as soon as I hear about people who's racist, I can't respect you. You're a racist piece of shit. Fuck you. And it was weird, too, seeing all those slaves, all those wage slaves kissing that massa's butt and listening to his racism. Meanwhile, they're being butt-kissing Uncle Tom's slaves to their massa. They don't see that they're slaves. They don't see it because they're racist, so therefore they feel better than somebody while they're being slaves. They're making money, so they're wage slaves, right? In exchange for their slavery, they get some cash. $9 an hour. And they're talking about raising the minimum wage in Frankfurt right now. Go up to $8.20, then $9-something, then $10-something in 2 years. That's the only way you'll get a raise at the timber mill in Garfield. If the federal government raises the minimum wage. That's the only way you'll get a raise. It's the only way you'll get some more money. So, anti-immigration, he wants more border patrols to stop the 3% Hispanic population of Kentucky from getting any bigger. I remember Rush Limbaugh talking about black people at 17%. And he says, black people represent 17% of the population. Who cares what they think? Well, even worse for the Hispanics in Kentucky. We're not on the border. We're really far away. And the Hispanic people that come here are usually for the farmers. They're working for the farmers. They're doing crap farm work that white people just quit doing. They don't want to do it no more. It's too hard. it's piecemeal work. You have to find it in seasonal. They just quit doing it. In fact, I remember actually working for free on a farm for most of my life, getting nothing but disrespect for it. Nothing but nicotine poisoning and welts and bruises. And then as soon as I went off to college, then the people that was putting me to work on the farm started paying Mexicans $10 an hour. That shows the power of a union. It shows the power of a union. When the farmer is faced with having no workers or having 5 workers who want a little bit more money, pay them a decent wage, and then they're really good workers. And they're unionized. They're together. They're like a family. But not in individual white America. At the Garfield Timber Mill, there is no unity. There is no unity for the corporation. There is no unity for the working people. There's a bunch of individuals. A bunch of individual racist assholes. And the boss is racist. I can't assume that everybody was. But one guy was wearing a Confederate hat. A little Confederate beanie. It's racist. So anti-immigration wants more border patrols to stop the 3% Hispanic population in Kentucky from getting any bigger. So it sounds very similar to what Allison's going to do. He's going to Mexicans only represent 3%. Who cares about the Mexicans, right? That's not politically relevant. You don't have to say, hey, let's have a rainbow revolution. Let's accept everybody. You can't say that. Not if you're Jack Conway. And it makes me wonder, is he for the DREAM Act? I would love to ask Jack Conway that. I also come across, there's a couple liberal issues that I have agreed on with Jack Conway. Gay marriage, he went the correct direction with that. Abortion, he doesn't believe that health insurance should cover it, but he does believe that it should be rare, safe, and legal. Minimum wage, he is in favor of it. Employee Free Choice Act, which is a union thing. And since they're talking about right to work right now, how can you opt out when there's nothing to opt into? At the timber mill, there was no union there. What would you need to break the unions up for? By passing the right? You don't need to pass the right to work. You have a right to work. You have a right to get fired. That's what the right to work is. The right to get fired. And it is union busting. It is a way to, basically the unions that are in place today, when you pass right to work, they can jump out of the union if they don't want to be a part of the union. That will bust the unions. The unions, they worked hard, they struck, there was solidarity, they stuck together, they got a contract, and the contract benefits the employees. God, I mean, to have a contract for a job, you get to teach here for a year. Oh my God, that's amazing. You get to teach for a year? To get a contract, you get to work at this factory for a year, and for 3 years, 4, they always do like 3 or 4 or 5 year contracts. You get to work here for 5 years, getting paid kick-ass money, kick-ass benefits, and it's contractually obligated. I've heard about a story, this story was amazing. But the story was, he's a shop steward, which is the lead of the union. And the manager came down, was yelling at all the employees, you're not doing anything right, you're not doing anything. And the shop steward says, don't you ever come down here and talk to my men again like that. We have a contract and you don't get a right to disrespect them. Now you get out of here. And the manager had no other choice but to leave. That's amazing. I'm good at doing my job. I'm good at doing my expectations. I've worked at Burger King. I kicked ass. I made so many sandwiches so quick, cleaned everything up. Very good worker. Very good worker. Always active, always doing stuff. And but I can't stand people who give me orders. Remember what the 3 exceptions for freedom of speech? Accusations, threats, and orders. When someone says, hey, pick that up. That's how Hitler controlled people, is through the spoken word. Hey, pick that up. Go fuck yourself. Nah, go fuck yourself. But you ain't allowed to say that, right? You ain't allowed to say the F word. That's not polite. Well, how do you come back? Hey, pick that up. Just ignore them? No, I'm not going to do it. No, make me. Maybe that's a little bit better. But it's like you have to be like polite about it or something. Fuck you. You're trying to make me your slave? You mean just pick some stupid little thing up for you and then you'll have me, out in the fields picking your cotton, and then one day if I pick enough cotton, I'll be the massa. Get the fuck out of here. That's what the education system thinks. So that's sort of that's a good overall synopsis. I'll actually go through these issues more specifically because I wrote a little paragraph for each one of these. But these are amazing. This is what Jack Conway believes. Jack Conway is against freedom of speech, against democracy. He's in favor of the death penalty, even for innocent people who had to kill in self-defense. He's pro-gay marriage now, after 7 years of prosecuting gay marriage. Pro-Iraq war for 8 years. Pro-mountaintop removal. Yeah, go ahead, decapitate all the mountains. The thing about pro-mountaintop removal that pisses me off, there was the I Love Mountains rally in Frankfurt. But the organizers didn't want Jeff Young to speak at the rally. Why not? Why didn't you want Jeff Young to speak? He is the one that would protect those mountains. That just shows you how fucked up the Democrats are in Kentucky. The Democrats are so fucked up. They throw their president under the bus. They disassociate themselves with anything that might be considered liberal, and then they bullshit everybody. And we're just supposed to pretend deep down inside they're true liberal. They're just like us, right? No, they're not like us. They're running them as a blank slate candidate. The issue's already out there. Jack Conway's just going to smile. Hey, how's your ma doing? How's your pa doing? Ask him about, hey, what do you think about mountaintop removal? Oh, got to get out of here. Don't want to talk about the issues. I didn't come here to talk about the issues. I just came here to schmooze. Can't we just do a little schmoozing? So medical marijuana, anti-hemp, anti-marijuana, pro-racist Nixon and Reagan's war on drugs. Racist. 6 more times black people are getting arrested in Kentucky for just simple marijuana possession. Black people only represent 8.2% of the total population. And Kenton County is even worse. The number 1 county in Kentucky, arresting 10 black people to 1 white. And it's, the racism is bullshit. The racism is bullshit. But more importantly, the war on drugs is bullshit. The war on drugs is such bullshit. I already explained that. But it's prohibition. Prohibition doesn't work. And if you're going to kick my ass, if you regulate it, I think you should legalize all of it. Legalize it all and put it in a red light district where cops are over there. You can only get so much. And you regulate it. Now, instead of it being in a criminal underclass where drug dealers are making millions, Al Capone's everywhere, run Johnny Run. Johnny, the big marijuana king in Kentucky. Right? He's on the run. He's a criminal. But you made him rich. Drew Thornton jumped out of a plane with kilos of cocaine splattered all over the concrete. Before he died, he was making so much money. He was making a killing. Took a plane, flew it to Colombia, came back here. Drew Thornton. So the demand for drugs are too high. All the pillbillies. We've been moonshining in Kentucky for years, Jack. You don't get Kentucky. You don't get Kentucky. That's what his response to Rand Paul was. He doesn't get Kentucky. No, Jack, you don't get Kentucky. You don't get Kentucky. So, the, pro-perpetual empire, anti-cap and emissions, pro-Iraq war, pro-Patriot Act, pro-mountaintop removal, pro-Bush tax cuts. Who's going to stop the Republican class wars? Jack Conway going to stop the Republican class war? He was in favor of the Republican tax cut for the wealthy. He couldn't even be a Democrat for something so obvious. Well, during a recession, we shouldn't be raising taxes. Yeah, that's exactly what you do. That's Keynesian economics. And you don't have to raise taxes. You could also cut taxes. That's another way to stimulate the economy. Right? Either raise taxes, cut them back, somehow change the dynamic of spending, and then there's residual effects. The government can intervene in the economy. It doesn't control it, but it can shock the system to getting on the right foot. So he didn't even understand economics. He's in favor of the wealthy. The wealthy don't pay their fair percentage in Kentucky. All the Republicans are out there. 4 pretty big, strong Republican candidates are out there. and they're going to be talking about all these ideas, all these debates, all these conversations that they're going to be having. The Republican Party are going to be so chiseled and so finely tuned with the issues that they believe are the best. Jack Conway is going to get his ass kicked, and he's going to run to the right. He's already running to the right. We only have, supposedly he sued the state's finance laws to keep the finance laws the same, which is good for him. Trying to get donations. Whenever you get a donation in Kentucky, you can't get any corporations. You can only get $1,000 from individuals. Good, that's good. But I saw this registration form, and on the registration form it says you have to have your employer, you got to have your occupation, your address, your name, your spouse. You got to write your spouse's name, their employer, and their occupation. That's a lot of information. Actually, that's just what they're saying is required. On the form itself, it even asks how many people are going to the rally. How many people will be traveling in your group to the rally? How many people do you think is going to be at the rally? What? Is there even a rally? Couldn't you, think about church. Church, you sit in a pile and pass a basket around and everybody throws money into it. Do you have to write all your information and all your name and number and everything down? I guess if you've been to the same church for a long time, it'd probably be easy to figure it out, right? Write a check and then they could just, write it off for tithe or something. But, no, you don't need all that stuff. You don't need all that stuff. Mitch McConnell, he just goes, kisses the Koch brothers' butts and has $50 million in the bank. Oh, well, he's a legitimate candidate. But Gatewood Galbraith, he's got enough money. He got his voice out there. He went around talking to people, but the media laughed. They thought that was so funny. So, anti-immigration, pro-racist, Nixon war on drugs, anti-hemp, anti-medical marijuana, anti-single-payer health care, pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage, pro-abortion, which is fine, but won't include the procedure and the health insurance is offered, anti-civil liberties, anti-democracy, pro-death penalty, anti-free speech, pro-cuts to Social Security, pro-Bush tax cuts, pro-mountaintop removal. Oh no, he's the good Democrat. No wonder the I Love Mountains rally has totally stopped. It's being run by a bunch of corrupt jerks. You're not even going to let the Democratic candidate who is in favor of your position speak about that position? What kind of democracy is this? This isn't a democracy. Both Mitch and Allison avoided the KET debates. They didn't debate their opponents, right? Oh, they're too small for me. I will not debate them, right? Because in 30 minutes, they're going to change the whole thing. Get out of here, man. Gurley Martin, I remember Rand Paul giving Gurley Martin his disapproved face. Ugh. Like he's so smug. Well, we know who you are. You should be up on this stage, but you don't have a bunch of donors. You're an old man. Fuck off, old Kentucky man. Fuck off, old Kentucky Republican. And they blocked him and then humiliated an old man. He was funny. I remember he posted his birth certificate right off the bat. Just in case anybody's wondering, here's my birth certificate. That's funny. That's clever. That's creative. He had ideas that he wanted to do with government too. I think, I want to say Gurley Martin would be better than Rand, but I guess we'll never find out, right? So, we don't believe in democracy. We don't believe in debates. They talk about democracy because they get elected by 15%, which is the majority of the 29% turnout. So 15% of the population's dictating who is going to rule over the rest of us. So voting is más importante, so importante. The public have got to get out and go vote. So, these are bad things. He's against democracy, against free speech, was against gay marriage, in favor of the Iraq War for many years. Pro-Patriot Act, this is Republican. Pro-mountaintop removal, Republican. Pro-Bush tax cuts, Republican. Pro-perpetual empire, both Republicans and Democrats. Anti-cap and emissions, Republican. Anti-democracy. I don't know if he's done voter suppression yet. That's anti-democracy. Maybe he'll get into voter suppression too. Anti-civil liberties. Patriot Act. He loved the Patriot Act. Republicans issue about the marijuana thing. Republicans. The war on drugs. Republicans. Anti-immigration. Republicans. My God, he's a Republican. The only issues was the Employee Free Choice Act, minimum wage, abortion, gay marriage, and he sued the state for the campaign finance law. For the state's campaign finance law. That is, it makes it impossible. I mean, the fact that I have to get somebody to donate money, if they donated $1, $5, $10, whatever, and they just give me the $1, $5, or $10, that would be so much easier. But whenever someone hands me $5, I got to say, well, hold on. What's your name? Where's your address? What's your occupation? What's your employer's name? What's your wife's name? What's your employer's wife's name? No. What's her employer's name? What's her occupation? You know, you have to fill out all this information, all this extra stuff, just to get a $5 donation. Meanwhile, Mitch McConnell is just raking in billions of dollars. I think it's good that it may prevent corporations from donating, or it'll just allow rich corporate owners to donate their $1,000 or whatever. Who's got $1,000 just to give to people? I mean, not everybody, right? There's some middle class here, but that's rich people. I would believe in the campaign more of $5, $10 donations, but you got to put all that information in. I don't know. I might be able to get $5 or $10 out of the common person, but I don't know if I'd be able to get $5 and then for them to fill out all the information. I guess I could, but it's a hurdle. It's a hurdle. And he already was in the system. He already knows the system. That's probably why he kept the system, right? He's been raising money for the last 2 years. He's got $2 million, which is half of what Hal Heiner has. So, according to Joe Gerth's logic, the more money you have, the more likely you'll win the campaign because you can buy television ads. And Kentucky people, they are not informed voters. This is typical political. This is Joe Gerth. This is what Joe Gerth thinks. So it's they don't know the voters. They're not informed. They don't keep up with the issues. They need television to tell them who to vote for and who not to vote for. Really? Why don't we think for ourselves? Why don't we read this stuff? We have the internet. We got the internet. We're going to be the generation that died of ignorance. And we're the internet generation. The internet generation is going to die of ignorance. We choose to be ignorant. We choose to be stupid. And that's a culture of ignorance, and that's just bullshit. We can get smarter and better at what we do. And we should get smarter and better at what we do. So, just having a ton of money in the bank should not guarantee your victory. Typically, that has been the case. I'm not going to, I'll concede that for Gerth. He's going to do a hit piece on me, actually, too, motherfucker. I don't know, maybe we could actually get a little publicity from the thing then, But anyways, Joe Gerth, he's not wrong with how traditional politics has worked, and that's fucked up. If you have more money in the bank, you'll win. It doesn't matter about your policies. Doesn't matter if you're likable. Doesn't matter if you're honest. Doesn't matter if you actually get the job done. You got more money in the bank, you'll win. That's embarrassing. That's so sad. Instead of suing to keep the campaign finance laws in place, we should have had campaign financing. That's what we should have had, campaign financing. So that way everybody gets equal airtime. Every candidate matters, and you don't have to go around, asking for all this money. I spend way too much time just asking people to donate, and people don't have any money to donate. So I don't see how, this doesn't seem sustainable. I feel like I could call people until I'm blue in the face, and that's I want to talk to people. I want to talk to them about the issues that Kentucky is faced with. Kentucky has so many problems. We're like number one with pollution, corruption, prisons, child abuse, cancer, toothlessness. So many things. There's so many things that, and this isn't to hate on Kentucky. This is to point out the problems that we're actually faced with, and then to bring about the solutions to those problems by putting our heads in the sand and pretending that, love yourself, love Kentucky. Love your home, love your neighbors. Kentucky's a great place. Kentucky's wonderful. What is right with Kentucky can fix what is wrong with Kentucky. I don't clean my house. I don't clean my house because I hate my house. I clean my house because I love it. I clean it because I love it. So all you love it or leave it types, get the fuck out of here. I'm cleaning my house. Kentucky is lowest ranking on too many issues. Too many issues. Is Kentucky one of the lowest ranking states compared to the United States in? We need to fix this. How are we going to fix pollution? By being against capping emissions? By letting mountaintops being decapitated? How are we going to stop pollution? Capitalism doesn't stop pollution. You think what? KFC? KFC is going to stop the pollution? Who's going to stop the poverty? Humana? Self-storage? Public storage? That's the richest man in Kentucky. $2.2 billion. The headquarters is out in California, but he's in Kentucky. So the richest man is $2.2 billion. Which is fine. But he pays 5.5% in tax. The rich people don't pay their fair share. It should be a progressive tax structure. 5% for the poor, 10% for the middle, and 15% for the rich. Something like that. Even a flat tax. Everybody pays 11%. Because that's what the middle 20% of Kentuckians are paying. 11%. Meanwhile, Bradley Hughes, or whatever his name is, he is, Bradley Hughes, the owner, he only pays 5.5%. So a flat tax would actually make a step in the progressive direction. Of course, it should be a flat tax. Of course, the rich should pay their fair share in taxes. The corporate loopholes, I even read a Ronald Reagan quote about how the corporate loopholes allow the wealthy to get away with not spending their fair share in taxes, and he said it's not right. That's Ronald Reagan. That's the darling of the Republican Party. Maybe I should start quoting Reagan. Just quote a bunch of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan said, and then Reagan said this, and then Ronald Reagan said that, because these Republicans today are to the right of Reagan. Reagan is a liberal compared to the Republicans of today. He raised taxes, raised the debt. He also got big into the war on drugs and war in Guatemala and shit. So, you know, he's not a good guy. But it does show that the Republicans they're not even conservative. They're anarchists. They're neo-anarchists. They're just on a whole nother level, on a whole nother plane. I mean, I don't even know if you could tell me what the Republican Party actually stood for before this Republican Party has come up. So, that's a little bit about Jack Conway. Jack Conway is a Republican on most issues. Very few liberal issues. Gay marriage, abortion, minimum wage, Employee Free Choice Act, and states' campaign finance laws, which is kind of liberal. But I think it would have been better if we had public finance. And so actually, I probably will scratch that off. Someone just mentioned it to me. So I was like, ooh, write it down. Because I was like, he only has 3 liberal issues. And then I thought, gay marriage, all right. So he's got 4 liberal issues. But since he has so much republicanism, since he is such a Republican, and he's already running to the right now, because that's what they do in elections, they don't want to say anything that's controversial. So they always go with the moderate position. So the right runs to the left runs to the right. Then you see Obama and McCain talking to each other like they're best friends, and they agree under everything under the sun. And that's pretty telling, actually. But that's important because when you don't see a stark contrast. They can only pick a couple issues, and they can win with just a couple issues. But we have so many issues that we need to talk about. There's so many things that's going on right now. So, gay marriage, abortion, minimum wage, Employee Free Choice Act is what he believes now. Since he's already starting to run to the right, since he's already starting to run towards the Republicans, he has all these Republican ideas. How much longer do you think he'll still be in favor of minimum wage, Employee Free Choice Act, and abortion and gay marriage? Maybe. Maybe he'll stick with just those 4. That's not a good liberal. Get rid of the war on drugs, fucking criminal bastard. I think I want to stick it out until he says that. When Jack Conway gives up his war on drugs and says legalize it, I'm not going to say he has my vote. But he has my vote for the general election if he wins the primary. But he has to do that. He's got to start talking more progressive. He has to start talking about ending the drug war. If he doesn't mention those things, fuck Jack Conway. One of the Republicans will pick that issue up, and then it'll be over. It'll be over. As soon as they pick up a popular issue, if one of those Republicans go populist, I don't know if charter schools and vouchers and things like that is going to get people up out of their chairs and excited about a candidate. But if they started talking about legalizing marijuana, Jeff Young is the only candidate right now that's in favor of legalizing marijuana. He's a good, honest man. And a good, honest man can't win an elected office. A good, honest man can't win. Then shame on you, Kentucky. You're against a good, honest man? Or did you just not know about him because the media didn't talk about it and you didn't think to look it up on the internet? You didn't inform yourself. You didn't get excited about democracy. That's the Super Bowl. Election day is Super Bowl. This is our society. This is the world we live in. So, hopefully he'll still be in favor of those issues. Minimum wage, unions, Employee Free Choice Act. I don't see him going away from that, but I wonder what he's going to... Is he opposing right to work? Did he say he was against the right to work? He should say that. Opposed to the right to work. The right to work is an opt-out option, but I think the Employee Free Choice Act is an opt-in. Right to work, I got a right to get fired at the timber mill, but there was no union to begin with. I never opted in. How can I opt out when I can't? And the union's only 9% of industry, so most industries don't have a union. Well, how are you going to tell people to get out of the union when most Kentuckians don't work in a union? You're going to opt out, and it doesn't affect most Kentuckians. Now, joining a union, being intelligent, working for solidarity, being educated, having dignity for yourself, not just being happy wage slave. Okay, massa, thank you for talking to me like a dog, massa. I sure do appreciate it. Get some dignity for yourselves. You're men. You're Americans. You're Kentuckians. You're Democrats. Stand up for what you believe in. The unions are good. The unions are good. Unions are organized labor, organized teachers, organized firefighters, pilots, cops. You got a union job, even if you're a garbage worker. You got a good job. You got a good job because of the unions. We increase unions, we make more money. That is true. That's true. And so hopefully he stays in favor of the employee. Hopefully he gets Employee Free Choice Act for Kentucky. Someone said that's federal, has nothing to do with state, but we could pass our own form of Employee Free Choice Act. Those are the things that he's in favor of. These are not the planks to his campaign. He might pull a Hal Heiner. Oh, I'm not going to legalize casinos. It's not one of my planks on my platform. You can't say something like that. Well, you're getting money from the casinos, and you're in favor of it. Just because you didn't make it on your platform, that's what you actually believe. So you might actually do that. You might actually do that thing. So Hal Heiner might actually do that thing. So I'm just wondering how much longer. Gay marriage, I think he'll probably stick with. Abortion, he's already ran to the right on abortion, not allowing insurance companies. So just put that in stone. Insurance will never cover abortion in Kentucky. Insurance will never cover abortion in Kentucky. And minimum wage, maybe it'll get passed. Maybe not. They're trying to pass it in Frankfurt right now. Allison Grimes was talking about it. They tried to do it nationally. A lot of protests. Louisville raised minimum wage, and there's a bunch of protests actually there. And then the Employee Free Choice Act, if he has the guts to do it. That would be the best thing in the world for unions. Employee Free Choice Act it sets up a vote for every industry to vote to be a part of a union. So as soon as the Employee Free Choice Act is voted on, everybody in Kentucky votes whether or not they want a union or not. If the workers at the timber mill want to unionize, and they vote in favor of it, now they got a union. They got union protections. They don't have to kiss a boss's butt and pretend like all his jokes are hilarious and he's the coolest person ever. And if they vote against it, they vote against it, right? So, but that would give everybody an option to be part of a union. And that's really, it's hard to get a union, for one, because the process, there's so many steps. But two, I mean, Burger King, let's just think about Burger King. They were not, there was one student that was at Burger King. He was smart, going to college, very thoughtful, like Jon Stewart. But most people at Burger King didn't know about union solidarity. They kissed the boss's butt. They weren't very bright people. Didn't have much dignity for themselves. Just quiet, docile. Did what, the boss told them to do. And without question, right? Happily. Well, sure, massa, I'll go do that right ways. Massa, he's talking about unions, and I just had to tell you because, he's talking about organizing and getting better wages, and I was an Uncle Tom, so, I just wanted to tell you all the stuff they saying out there. That way, maybe you'll pay me more, huh? You'll pay me $1 more? I just fucked over every one of my co-workers. Because I was an Uncle Tom. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're in favor of. And mark my words, I will say it one more time. Health insurance in Kentucky will not cover. Health insurance in Kentucky will not cover abortion. Abortion will stay safe, rare and safe and legal. But the health insurance companies will not pay for it. So good for Humana. Humana saves some money on that. Jack Conway is in favor of Humana on that issue. He is very much in alignment with the health insurance industry, making sure they don't have to pay for some daughter who got raped by her incest daddy. Abortion. They don't have to pay for that abortion. Well, that saves, nobody. It's stupid. It goes against his beliefs. But that's Jack Conway. He's going to run to the right. He's going to probably brag about all these issues I'm talking about today. Run away from all the liberal issues I pointed out. Well, gay marriage, yeah, I was for it. But I was against it before I was for it. Minimum wage, well, maybe Kentucky can wait on minimum wage. Maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who cares? So, Jack Conway, Republican extraordinaire. And he's only going to get more Republican. And he's going to lose his election because you can't out-Republican the Republicans. Jack Conway, run as a Democrat, and you will win.